I've been making posts on TikTok about my smut journey, link in the description. And somewhere in between, people have been recommending me different manhwa to read. I'm always happy to oblige a recommendation. Leave yours down below in the comment as well. So when someone told me to read The Warehouse, I was a bit apprehensive. I really don't read too much BLs. Nothing against them. Just I like my street. I like my man and my woman. My woman and my man. Sometimes I'll dabble in a little Yuri. Okay, there's nothing against it. It comes and goes in waves. And at this point, I've been searching for some to read, some BLs, because I've heard some very great things about them. But I'm very particular. I don't read just any BL. Okay, I'm very specific, and I'm very specific on my straight smut as well. Why am I particular, you ask? Well, because of this shit right here. Because of this specific manhwa. Trigger warning: this manhwa, to me, celebrates rape. Now, I know manhwa culture, sometimes there's no way of getting past it because that's all you see in some of these manhwas. In no way am I good with rape or want to see it in my stories because there's other ways to be a psychological or thriller without having it in your stories. Let me tell you something. This is the most offensive story I have ever fucking read. When I tell you the first 10 chapters had me already ready to DNF, but I'm nothing if not a completionist. And goddamn do I hate myself. We have a main boy, Do-hyun, who was injured in an accident that had severely wiped his brain. He has memory loss. He's working in a shit job as a phone salesman, and when he's kidnapped and taken, and you guessed it, to a warehouse, Sung-hyo is the kidnapper and wants to have Do-hyun remember who he is. But let's not forget, this man has a traumatic brain injury and can't remember shit. Sung-ha decides to rape Do-hyun instead because that should refresh her memory. This cycle of remember me to rape happens many times. I bet you're wondering, why did I keep reading this? Well, telling you this story back, I'm wondering too now. Something is wrong with me. But nonetheless, Do-hyun was left in this warehouse occasionally, and he would find bits and pieces of items he would remember that would flash across his mind. But again, I can't stress this enough. He fucking lost his memory in an accident, and he has a traumatic brain injury. Remember that. Do-hyun and Sung-ho met in school where they were basically slowly becoming friends. Sung-ho was smart and academic, and Do-hyun was the abused kid who didn't really care about school and his academics. Do-hyun and Sung-go met up in their school gymnasium where they do the do. And I'm being honest, this is probably where I should have stopped. I was a bit uncomfortable, but I wanted to keep reading. I wanted to see if this story got better. That's my red flag. We don't see anything, but it is super weird. They go about meeting in the gym to do the do a lot. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but they stopped seeing each other over miscommunication. I really can't remember, and I was not going to sacrifice my mentality to go back and reread why they stopped talking. But I'm pretty sure it's over some miscommunication over a test or over parents not wanting them to see each other. Something stupid. Miscommunication. I am pretty sure. Don't go reading it just because I couldn't remember. But if you've read it before, just remind me why they stopped in the comments down below. But I don't really care. This, of course, enraged Sung-ho, who took that shit personally. I mean, he was jotting shit down in his diary, but he really kind of made up his own thoughts in his head about why Do-hyun broke up with him, and he felt like Do-hyun was using him for sex and was manipulating him. That's not what happened. But he would never love anyone as much as he loves Do-hyun, so he had to get him. How could Do-hyun just up and leave the relationship that he created in his head? Well, because this man is apparently psycho. That's why. Even his parents have come to the realization that this kid is crazy, especially because he refused to go to college. And he just kind of went cuckoo in the head. Sungho puts all of this shit in his diary that he wrote, and he left in the warehouse. That's how we know all this information, because Do-hyun found the diary. When Do-hyun started to read this, he had little bits and pieces of his memory, and he slowly started to remember Sung-hyun. But this doesn't appease Sung-hyo, and he still continues to rape and torture Do-hyun because this isn't how he remembers their past. Also, I need to mention, Sung Kyo is working with this like debt collector or something, or gangsters, or he's doing something he shouldn't be doing. And he's doing all this shit at the warehouse at the same time that he's working. And he's not supposed to be at the warehouse because his boss told him to get over it and let this guy go or kill him. So word gets around that Sung Hyo is really fucking weird, more than what he usually is. And a group of guys come into the warehouse and they spot Do-hyun. They spot Do-hyun. Something happens where Do-hyun tries to attack one of the two guys, and the guys run away, but vow to come back and kill Do-hyun and Sung-ho. Sung-ho finds out that the two guys came to the warehouse, and he's trying to make an escape plan on where he can put Do-hyun until further notice, because he clearly can't leave them in the warehouse because they've been exposed. But the guys already come back and they start attacking. They run away to Sung-ho's home, but remember, the two guys are still alive and they want them. So just remember them for later, mentally in your head. Do-hyun was injured in the fight while escaping the warehouse. I think, or maybe Sung-ho was injured. He was injured while trying to escape. And I think at some point, Do-hyun got Munchausen by proxy, because he starts apologizing for everything and starts saying it's his fault, he's to blame. And to me, I don't like it. Again, we're leading towards the end here, and I still kept fucking reading for some reason. But again, Do-hyun has lost a good amount of his memory. So it doesn't really make sense as to why he's getting put through this shit. I get Sung-hyo just wants, closure. He wants to understand why this guy mistreated him so badly. I mean, all they did was have sex in high school. The manga probably thinks that they're eating with this shit, so let's just continue, because we should forget by this point that Do-hyun has a severe brain trauma and lost his memory because of that. Slay. So Seong-hyo comes to the realization that Do-hyun could have died. He feels a little bit remorseful, and he wants Do-hyun to forgive him for all the fucked up shit that he just did in that warehouse. So, if we're keeping score, he did all this because he broke up with him and he thought he manipulated him when they were younger and ruined the rest of his life. Although he could have just, I'm not saying it's easy, got over it and moved on with his life. Do-hyun also apologizes for manipulating and treating Sung-ho like shit. I don't really think he needs to, but he does it anyway. And you know what? I don't know if this manhwa was just meant to manipulate readers into thinking that they heard something wrong. But I felt fucking gaslit. So hopefully you did too, because this manhwa was crazy. And you would think this is where the story ends, but no, remember those two guys? Yeah. Sung-ho has a feeling like nothing will really change, that Do-hyun just is making all this up so he can escape, and has so much bullshit filled in his head that this motherfucker tries to kill himself. You guys, I'm not even joking now at this point. Like, jokes are all off. He literally took either a piece of glass or a knife that he had and just, yeah, no, you don't get to do this. You wanted to do this. No offense, you should have did it a little while ago, sir. Why are we doing this now? Do-hyun finds him and is freaking out, calling for help. He's now trying to take this crazy fuck to the hospital. When you guessed it, guys, don't forget, the two guys reappear. One of them is at least a little concerned that Sung-hyo is bleeding, but the other tries to kill Do-hyun as he had vowed he would. Eventually, we all make it to the hospital, where unfortunately, Sung-ho makes it out alive. And I wish the fucking book would have just ended there. Do-hyun figured out he doesn't want this anymore. He wants better for himself. And that would be the end of this story. But being the completionist I am, there's a couple more chapters left. Sung-hyo and Do-hyun discuss more in detail of their traumas together, the manipulation, the gaslighting, the lying. God, I can't wait until this shit is over. Seong-ho wants Do-hyun out of his life and never wants to see him again because of the pain of his childhood is far too unbearable. Kid, please, you could have done this a long time ago. Do-hyun is so sad about this news, but bitch, you're free. Run away. Why didn't Do-hyun run? He did not run away. Do-hyun can't seem to imagine a life without Sung-hyo, but I definitely can. This guy is crazy. He almost made that shit a reality because he's so fucked up in the head and he's just been kind of making this shit up as he goes. So Do-hyun goes back to Sung-ho and wants to completely start over. Like, start fresh, let's clean the slate. We both fucked up. No, no. This is not how it's supposed to work. And for whatever sick and twisted mind the mangaka, he has them do it. They end up starting over by dating each other and taking it slow to help heal their trauma. Bitch, do you think I'm fucking dumb? Do you think I sat through 100 chapters, and I'm not lying, of this shit and be fucking happy that they're together? I am beyond pissed off that you thought you could convince me. A man who lost his memory would be anything but a victim in this situation. Sure, did he manipulate Sung-ho in a sense in the beginning when they were high school? Sure, but not to this point of fucking insanity. That was truly Sung-ho's own doing. You know how a conversation happens, but you don't feel like it turned out the way you wanted, so you come back home and you play it out in your mind of the different scenarios you could have had? That was literally Sung-ho's entire fucking identity in the manhwa. He just made everything up of the different scenarios that didn't happen in his mind, but he thought that they did. There are so many better BLs, psychological thrillers, manhwas out there to read. If you like this, fine. But I will not be reading this again. There's only so much cheering for a character to become better before I'm ready to kill them myself. And this was one of those. They're both idiots, and I am over it. I will do another video on a really good BL that I've read that I can't wait to finish. But I don't recommend you reading this if, for one, all of the trigger warnings you cannot handle. And for two, if you are just not for miscommunication and rape. Because essentially, that is all that this story was. This is an overglorified book about rape, and I did not like it. It was not enjoyable for me. I read it simply to give my review for the person that asked me to read it. And because I am a pure completionist, I have to finish a book, or I have to see it to where it is finished at. And that drives me insane. So do I recommend you reading this? No. Please don't pick it up. I told you all that you needed to know. I told you most of what I could remember because I hated this damn thing. But please, like and subscribe. Comment. Tell me what you want me to read. Because hey, I'm crazy and I read most things, okay? So if you want me to read it, I'll probably read it. But as always, stay slutty, my friends. Love ya.